Meet Dr. Kenneth Olden, distinguished scientist, cancer researcher, accomplished holder of several academic degrees, and the first African American to head the National Institute of Environmental Health Services. The groundwork for Olden's success was laid in the small town of Newport, Tennessee, where he was nurtured by a strong family and extended family.
I grew up in a rural area in Tennessee, in the Appalachian Range, near Knoxville, Tennessee, a little place called Newport, Tennessee. And it's along Interstate 40. And it's a very beautiful part of, near North Carolina, in fact. We're about 30 miles from the North Carolina border. And it's a very beautiful part of that region. And my dad was a farmer and sharecropper. I learned to trust and respect people, and not just people who had college degrees. And the church was very important in our lives. That was the one thing that we did every week. We went to church, we participated in church Sunday school, in Bible school, and I learned my values from those experiences. And I still live by those values.
Dr. Olden is founding dean of the School of Public Health at Hunter College, part of the City University of New York system. The City University of New York is the largest urban public university in the country, and this program will be the first of its kind, focusing on urban public health.
This school was developed with a mission to focus on urban health. But more important than that, most schools of public health are still focusing on, I would say, issues of the 20th century. And they're not looking forward to the 21st century. 21st century public health challenge is chronic diseases. So the major thing that's killing people today is the epidemic of chronic diseases: Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cancer, diabetes, obesity. And these are diseases that occur later in life, and they occur because we are now living longer. And these are diseases that are influenced in large part by the environment. The environment has probably plays the major role in the development of these diseases, which means that we can prevent them. So we can promote healthy aging so people can live to be 80 and 90, have good mental capacity, good physical capacity, and can be made still independent and contributors to society. There are many air pollutants that cause asthma, cardiovascular disease, and while we can't say absolutely and unequivocally that it's this chemical or that one, we know that there are strong associations between exposure to that chemical or that group of chemicals, or those pollutants, and a disease. And I'll just give you one example. There was a study conducted in Finland from 1970 through, I believe, 1995. And they were looking at coronary heart disease. And we've discovered some genes that are involved in the development of coronary heart disease. And they looked at those genes and said, in this population that had a lot of coronary heart disease, and said, what are the major causes? So they went into this community and they implemented environmental intervention. And they did three things. They got people to eat healthy. They got the population to reduce smoking. And they promoted community cohesion. In other words, it got the community to work together as a community to reinforce the environmental interventions. And after 15 years, they had reduced coronary heart disease by, I believe it was 73%. They did this without changing the genetics of the population at all. And they reduced death, mortality from cardiovascular disease by 63%, I believe. And so the interventions were not medical, were not genetic, they were environmental interventions. So while you can't say absolutely and unequivocally what was it in the diet, what was it about exercise, and what was it about community cohesion and reinforcement, but these are environmental interventions, and they reduce the morbidity and mortality by 63 to 73%. And so there's lots of evidence that the environment plays an important role.
Olden travels between an apartment located in the densely populated city of New York and a family home in the quiet, beautiful serenity of Durham, North Carolina, where he lives with his wife, Sandra, who teaches at North Carolina Central University. They are empty nesters.
Ken is an extremely bright person. His mind is always on fast forward. And then he is extremely committed. Whatever he puts the focus on, it's not going to be a lot of things. Not many things are going to divert him. But whatever he sets his mind to, he's 200% committed. He's going to have a journal of biological chemistry, and he's or some other book, and now about the environment. And these are books that he's wanted to read, so he truly is relaxing, enjoying himself, but he isn't interested in anything that doesn't have a meaning to it.
Dr. Olden's research work is centered around the combination of environmental and genetic causes of serious diseases like Alzheimer's, diabetes, and cancer.
A focus on chronic diseases itself makes this school unique and different. If you want to prevent diseases, public health is about prevention. It's about population efforts. It's not about individualized medicine and clinical care. It's about preventing cancer and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So if you want to prevent those diseases and cancer and asthma, you have to focus on the causes. And the environment is one of the causes that we can do something about. You can identify genes involved in the development of diseases, but at the moment we can't do very much about genetics. We can't alter the consequences of genetics. But we can reduce environmental exposures. And so the statement that genetics loads the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger, and you know that a loaded gun by itself causes no harm whatsoever. It's only when the trigger is pulled that the potential for harm is initiated or released. Several hundred, 500 or more carcinogens have been identified in the environment. And these are chemicals that cause cancer in animal models. And anything that causes cancer in an animal model, a mouse or rat, has the potential to cause cancer in humans. And there are a lot of studies with many of these chemicals showing that there is an association between exposure to these chemicals and cancers.
Honors and accomplishments aside, Dr. Olden's priorities are carefully protected. Family and giving back to the community top the list.
So I'm a family person, and then community is important to me, although less important obviously than family and work. So I try to do the things and make the investment to make sure that I have a good family life, that my kids know who I am, that I have time to interact with them, that I spend quality time with them, with my wife, and my brothers and sisters.
Building relationships and 5-year planning tops the list of advice Dr. Olden gives to young people.
So I advise youngsters to make sure that people know, and you have to get out of your comfort zone sometimes to do that.
Dr. Kenneth Olden, a living example of commitment to excellence and determination, a self-propelled master of his fate.